Hello ladies and genitals, Savagely here. I'm going to do a different style of video today. So what I'm going to start doing for the next few videos, I'm going to do deck list of decks that I personally play in locals and various tournaments that I attend. And I'll explain the different cuts that I use with my sort of play style. So today, the deck I'll be talking about today will be my favourite deck in the format, which is Ancient Box. Ancient Box currently matches my very aggressive playstyle. I've tailored my deck for turn 2, so I like to go second. I want to hit first, I want to do the first damage, I want to do as much damage as fast as possible, and this deck absolutely allows me to do as much damage as possible throughout the game. With it being a complete single prize deck, I am never giving away 2 prizes, unless it's unfortunate when I go against Iron Hands EX, for example, with the amp you very much attack, but that can't be helped. But you can clap back and knock that out for 2 prizes in return. But, so, as my list as follows, I play 3 Koraidon, very good early start. The Shred attack I completely ignore. The only attack I care about is the Primordial Beatdown, 30 times for each ancient Pokemon I have in play. So maximum, if I have a full field, which is 6 Pokemon, that is 180 damage for 1 fighting and 1 colourless. If I'm able to ever get that off on my first attack going second, it's absolutely phenomenal. 9 times out of 10, it's knocking something out, and you're taking the early prize, and you're kind of just sitting there just laughing. With the Koraidon, I don't play 4 of, because I took 1 out for a card I'll talk about in a second. But yep, so in my list, I only play the 3 Koraidons. The next card that I play is pretty much the crux of the deck. It's what you're building around. 4 Roaring Moons. This card is an absolute beast. It's a phenomenal attacker. 2 Dark Energy, 70 damage, 10 more damage for every ancient Pokemon in your discard. Well, not just Pokemon, sorry, it's every ancient card. So with my deck, I'm playing 29 ancient cards. So at peak damage, it's 28 ancient cards. With the 70, I'm hitting for 350 damage. If I'm ever able to hit the 350, there's nothing in the game that's surviving unless it's got any utility items attached to it, i.e. Hero's Belt. But this deck, with this Roaring Moon, you can very, very, very quickly ramp up the damage in the early game. There's cards that allow you to discard multiple cards, and for example, Superior Energy Retrieval, discard 2 cards, there you go, that's 20 damage, so now you're hitting for 90. There's the Supporter, Explorer's Guidance, look at the top 6, discard 4. Oh look, I've discarded 4 ancient cards, that's an extra 40 damage. With that there's 110 damage for 2 Dark Energies. You're hitting Gardevoir, that's 220 damage. So you're hitting Gardevoir for weakness, which is currently one of the best decks in the format. So having a good attacker that is a good archetype and colour against it is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is, it's a single prize card. It's the best card in my deck. It only gives away 1 prize, and it's just absolutely fun to use. The next card I've got is a recent inclusion, is a Brute Bonnet, a single copy. I've put this in because the Toxic Powder ability, for some unknown reason, I don't read my cards properly, and I thought it only worked in the active. Turns out, no. As long as it's got the tool card attached to it, the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, it works on the bench. Absolutely ridiculous. And then you can apply Poison to your active and your opponent's active. And if you've got your Roaring Moon in play, that is an extra 10 damage on top of Roaring Moon. So a lot of the times in my games, I was finding out that I was missing out on 10 damage. And Brute Bonnet actually fills in that role very, very well. And I've clutched games because of the Brute Bonnet, because people don't expect that extra 10 damage. So against Gardevoir, you say you have you hit it for 150 for weakness, that's 300, and then with the poison, that's 310. That's a knockout on the Gardevoir, and that has happened in previous games where no one anticipated the extra 10 damage, and it's just like, oh, Brute Bonnet has become an MVP in my deck. But the only drawback for it is the unfortunate, it does have 3 retreat, so it having 3 retreat isn't ideal, but there are cards in my deck that allow me to change it. For example, single jet energy, attach it to something on the bench, and it swaps its position. So it's a very quick way to get rid of a brute bonnet, but absolute great inclusion on my deck. Another one of Great Tusk. Great Tusk, it's an iffy one. I very rarely use it. It's the land collapse attacker, which is discard top card of your opponent's deck. If you played an Ancient support card from your hand during this turn, you discard 3 more this way. So you can mill for 4. It very rarely comes up where I've had to use this card, and it's only when it's in the early game and you're just hoping you're milling, I don't know, 1 or 2 Charizards, or you're milling Curliers, or anything useful like items. Super Rods is a good card to mill with this, but it's just one of them things. It's just a one-off. If it comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it is definitely a card that you can swap out. But it has had its moments where it's clutch milling 4 and you mill 4 utility cards, and you're happy with that one. Another Pokemon that I play is another Ancient card, Fluttermane. Fluttermane's got an absolutely exceptional ability. As long as this Pokemon's in the active spot, your opponent's active Pokemon has no abilities except your Midnight Fluttering. Midnight Fluttering is the ability name. My apologies. This card is really good in the early game. You can shut off abilities. If you're ever lucky enough to go against a terrible Charizard player who then goes to evolve a Charizard on the active, and they go to search their deck for 2 to 3 fire energies, they can't, because Fluttermane shuts it off. And it's only happened a couple of times, and it's a great laugh for me to watch my opponent pick up the deck, and I'm going, you can't search that because Fluttermane shut your ability. You can't do it. And they go, they go, oh, can I swap it out? It's like, no, you've made your choice, you've made your play. No, Fluttermane shut you off. It's an absolute great card. There's been a funny instance where someone's bossed it out to knock it out, but they've also wanted to use an ability straight after, and they couldn't use the ability, and they couldn't knock it out. And it was just absolutely hilarious because I already had an energy attached, and I got the Hex Curl off the game, and it was just an absolute funny interaction where my opponent shut off their own ability thinking they were being clever, and no, it was absolutely funny. It's great inclusions, and it's just the 3 of them in this deck. The last Pokemon in my deck is Radiant Greninja. It's the only Pokemon in my deck that's not an Ancient card. It's only useful for the Concealed Cards ability, discard an energy card, and then you draw 2 cards. It's once per turn. I don't play any Water Energy in this build, but in the future I am looking at playing Walking Wake, the base one, not the Walking Wake EX. So if I am to play that, I would put some Water Energies in, but Radiant Greninja is probably one of the better Radiant cards out there, and it's a toss-up between playing this or the Hisuian Sneasler Radiant, because that allows the poison to tick for an extra 20 damage, which in all hindsight is quite funny, but I'd rather have the card draw, because you can, with this deck, run out of steam very, very quickly when you're milling yourself, you're discarding cards, and you're sitting there, you've got no cards, you've got 1 lone energy, discard it, you turn it to 2 very useful cards. And plus, with it having 1 retreat, it's a very, very quick card to pivot out of. Going from this, I'm going into my supporters. Now, with this, it's just straightforward. For Professor Sada's Vitality. Absolute brilliant card. And when I go second, I want to discard my energy, and I want to be able to reattach my energy. So with this card, choose up to 2 of your Ancient Pokemon and attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of them. If you attach an energy card this way, you draw 3 cards. Absolutely phenomenal card. It allows me to attack first by discarding an energy, attaching from hand. If you're able to discard Dark Energy, attach 1 from hand, and on that, there you go, that's live. And with this being in the discard, it's already hitting for 80 damage because this is an Ancient card. If I'm ever able to get the fighting onto the Quaidon, it's hitting straight away. With as many Ancient cards on the bench, it's hitting for more damage. It's an absolute, it's why I want to go second with this deck. It's just, this card allows you to go second, and it allows you to take the early prize. I want to be able to take the early initiative, because my favourite matchup is against Charizard. Even though Charizard hits for 180, it's probably more ideal to go first. But the thing is, well, when you knock out a Charmander or a Pidgey, yes, you're allowing the Charizard to knock you out, because it allows the Charizard to hit for 210, even with Ancient Booster giving you extra health, which allows you to go up to 200 HP. It breaches that. But I'd rather get the early damage in. I'd rather get the early aggro, because I want to make sure that they can't evolve. And if I'm making sure they can't evolve and they're putting their basics on, I want to switch that basic out and I want to knock it out again, and then go for the Pidgey and just go through the motion of stopping them from evolving. That is how I play this deck. I just want to be as aggressive and as ruthless as possible. So Professor Silen's Vitality absolutely fills in it ticks every box for me for this deck, like allowing me to attack straight away and hitting as hard as this deck can. It's absolutely phenomenal. The next supporters I've got, 4 Explorer's Guidance, absolutely phenomenal card. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck, put 2 of them into your hand, discard the other 4. Absolutely brilliant card. I don't care what ancient cards I reveal, I'm discarding them. It doesn't matter. There's only one ancient card I will keep in my hand, and that would be the Awakening Drum. But aside from that, this here, I look at it as an extra 40 damage. If I'm ever able to discard 4 ancient cards, it's extra 40 damage for Roaring Moon. This card is absolutely brilliant. It thins your deck out so much. So there's been plenty of times where this card has actually made myself deck out, where I'm not paying attention and I'm playing this, playing it, and I'm look at my deck, I'm like, oh no, I've got no cards left, I've lost the game. But this card is absolutely phenomenal for thinning my deck out, for choosing the 2 cards that's optimal for that time. Absolute brilliant card, and I just love that it allows me to provide extra damage for my Roaring Moon. My last supporters is another recent upgrade for my deck. Boss's Orders. I played 2 copies of this. Not much to say. It's a finisher, boss for game, as many people have coined the phrase. Just pulling out any Pokemon on your opponent's bench just for the easy knockout, or if they've retreated an EX that they don't want knocking out, you bring it back out in the fold and you knock it out. Easy 2 prizes. Or if someone's running away with the game with Bidoofs and Barrels, bossing them out, taking away their card draw, stopping the resource gathering. This card pretty much just does it all. It's a brilliant card, and I'm just playing the 2 of it. For my items, I'm playing a 1 of, obviously, because it's an A-Spec. You can only play 1 A-Spec in the deck. Awakening Drum. So you play this, beat to the drum. You draw a card for each of your ancient Pokemon I played. The ideal scenario is you've got full 6 cards on the field. You play this, you draw 6 cards. It is better than a Pot of Greed. This card is absolutely ridiculous in this deck, because you can ramp up so many cards, because obviously nearly every Pokemon in my deck is an ancient card, and it's free card draw, and you just draw into everything that you need. And plus, by playing it, it's an extra 10 damage. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's a fantastic card. It's just a shame you can only play the 1, because I would absolutely love to play this at 4. But yeah, that's my A-Specs for the deck. Next is Earthen Vessel. Now this is an ancient item card. Discard a card, search your deck for 2 basic energy cards. This card is absolutely phenomenal. Searching your deck for the correct energy cards. Even non-ancient decks are playing this card. This is how good this card is. Energy fixing yourself is so good. It's the same as Magic the Gathering, where the game that I used to play just before I got back into Pokemon. Mana fixing yourself is absolutely essential in any card game. Being able to find the fighting energies for your Koraidon, being able to find your dark energies for your Roaring Moon, absolutely phenomenal. It's such a beast of a card. It's phenomenally good. I can't rate it high enough. But yeah, this card is absolutely amazing. Definite 4 of. My next items, 4 Nest Ball. Not much to say. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. Search for your Roaring Moons, search for Koraidon for the early game. If people got too many abilities, you want to shut them off. Search for your Fluttermane. Yep, it's a fantastic card. Yeah, just search for any basic. Next, I play 4 Pokegear. This card's really good. You look at the top 7 cards of your deck, you reveal a supporter and add it to your hand. It allows you to search for whichever supporter that you need for that moment. If you need a Boss's Order, look at top 7, oh look, there's boss's orders there, cool, I'm going to add it to my hand, reveal it, and then play it. Phenomenal card. It allows you to change your plays by finding the supporter that you're looking for. Next, 2 trekking shoes. Not much to say. Look at the top card of your deck. You may put it to your hand. If not, you discard it and draw another card. 9 times out of 10, I look at the top card. If it's an ancient card, I don't even add it to my hand. I just put it straight in the bin, and I look at it as checking, play this, gain extra 10 damage, and draw a card. Brilliant card. My one of Lost Vacuum, discard a card, and then put any tool or stadium into the Lost Zone. Against a lot of decks where they're playing the Hero's Cape, and it's the Hero's Cape is actually keeping them alive. Lost Vacuum in it is absolutely hilarious because it forces that Pokemon to be knocked out because the damage is exceeded. But yeah, this card is used for that situation, and I've actually won a game against Gardevoir by being able to do that on the Drift Bloom. And it was a funny moment because I top decked this, I already had an energy in hand, discarded the energy to Lost Zone, played this, got rid of that, and then I took my prize. Brilliant game. This is Counter Catcher. It's a one of. I did used to play this at 4, but as I said at the start of the video, I'm taking 2 prizes for your 1 prize. Very, very rarely this card will ever pop off because you need to be at more prize cards than your opponent. So I took out 3 copies of this. 2 of them became boss's orders. 1 of them became a nest ball because I couldn't think of another card to put in. But it's in there just in case. I've not even used it. The only thing I've used it for is discard fodder. I'm sure in the future, if I ever end up being behind it and I get it, it can be useful. But as of now, it's just a one-off. My next one-off is Superior Energy Retrieval. Not much to say about this. Discard 2, add 4 energy cards, 4 basic energy cards from your discard back to your hand. It's absolutely great. If you're going against someone who's constantly using the Ionos, because you self-mill yourself so much, you are able to prevent this by doing this, getting your energy cards back to your hand, and it stops your opponent from playing the Iono to refresh their hand. By doing that, it puts them on a timer. Whereas I've had games where I've only had 2 cards left in my deck, and I've got 3 prizes, but I've got a massive hand. And I've played this to ensure that I've got even more cards in my hand. And my opponent refused to play the Iono, and in the end, them not playing the Iono actually cost them the game. And it was a good moment for me, just by playing this, pretty much told them to not play that Iono, to stop playing the game. Really good card. Super Odd, it's one of, shuffle 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards back to your deck. It's in there just to stop me from milling out or recycling all my Roaring Moons if they all get knocked out very early. Because there's been a few games where my Roaring Moons have been bossed out very early, and I've had to subtract the 10 damage bonus by taking out the ancient Pokemon from a discard. But in hindsight, it allows me to recycle them, reuse them, and get the attacks going and trying to get ahead of the game. Next is my tools. This is quite simple. 4 ancient booster energy capsules. The ancient Pokemon this card is attached to gets 60 HP and recovers from all special conditions and can't be affected by special conditions. This card's amazing. It allows Koraidon and Roaring Moon to go from 140 HP up to 200, which stops them from being knocked out by a lot of cards. Also with it, it allows Brute Bonnet to use its ability from the bench. As again, I never knew that until a few weeks ago. So having this on the Brute Bonnet allows for the extra poison, and if you've got this on the active as well, your active Pokemon cannot be poisoned. So literally all you're doing is just poisoning your opponent. You don't get poisoned, and it's absolutely a great card. Also, it stops other decks that cause statuses, because in the next set there's going to be a lot of poison running around, and I do think in the next format I probably will be sticking with this deck for another couple of locals, but I've got a couple of other decks lined up that I'm currently playtesting. My last tool is Defiance Band. As I said before, because I'm trading 2 prizes for 1, this very rarely pops off. If you've got more prize cards remaining than your opponent, your attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active. It's only been useful once or twice, but the extra 30 damage is really helpful. As I said before, if I've got maximum ancients in my discard, I'm hitting for 350. With this, I'm hitting for 380. But yeah, it very rarely comes up because I'm usually ahead in the prize game. But yeah, it's just a one-off. It's one of those cards you can easily take it out. I was thinking about putting another super rod in, but if I was, I'll take this out. But it's not a bad card. Next in my list is 2 Pokestops, the only stadiums I play. This card, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. If any of them are item cards, add them to your hand. Ridiculously good card. The amount of times I've played this and I've just milled ancient Pokemon and I'm just sat there thinking, yes, that's an extra 30 damage, or I'm able to get Super Rod, Superior Energy Retrieval, Poker Gear, or even an Earthen Vessel off of this is absolutely ridiculous. And thinning your deck as well, making sure that your deck is as small as possible and it's full of all the utility cards that you need in the future. Makes it so much easier to search. And also it's an absolute Lost Vacuum bait. I love playing this and my opponent Lost Vacuum in it, and I'm just sitting there thinking, 9 times out of 10, your Lost Vacuum's a one-off. By Lost Vacuum in this, it's quite hilarious. So, but yeah, that's the only stadiums I play. Next, my energy cards. Not much to say about this. 3 fighting for the Crydon, and then for the energy for me Roaring Moon. I do play 7 Dark Energies for my Roaring Moon. Very rarely it comes up for Brute Bonnet, where I've had to do it once. Where both me and my opponent, we had very, very terrible starts. And it got to the point where I was able to manually attach 3 energy to a Brute Bonnet and then attack with Brute Bonnet, because we both had terrible draws. And then my final card for my deck is Jet Energy. That there is my very, very aggressive Ancient Box list. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. As I said, in the future I'll be putting up other deck lists. Currently what I've got built is my future box, which I do need to update at some point because I've got my Iron Thorns. I have Dracopult with Exatu, which is another deck that I've had some moderate success with. I've got my Festival Lead Drippling deck, which is an actual surprise deck. I love that deck so much. And then the last deck I've got is my Greninja EX. So if you want, pick one of those decks and I'll do a review on one of those decks in the near future. But yeah, hope you enjoy my video. Thank you.